Alright guys, hey, this is another podcast coming from UniBeam. Today's topic is Iron Man 3. I'm here with...
It's JonathaNisMagnuM on Comic Book Movie.
This is Durf from Comic Book Movie.
And we're going to sit here and share our thoughts about Iron Man 3, what we want to see, what we like, you know.
How excited we are.
Yeah, we're all pumped. I know John and I have been itching to talk about this. I don't know about Durf, but he's here with us, and fuck it, man. Let's just get this ball rolling. Durf, I want you to start it off. He's our newest member.
Alright, so I'm going to start with the Mandarin and the 10 rings that we want to start with.
Yeah, man. Just give us what you think, whatever you want to say.
Alright, so just kind of based on that poster last week, I think Mandarin's going to be badass, dude. I mean,
Nice.
He's got the Iron Man helmet like right next to his foot. He's going to crush it with his foot. He's got fucking United Nations helmets fucking with holes in them. He's got dragons there. He's got his rings on. He looks badass, dude.
Yeah, he definitely looks like a badass.
I really hope the rings are functional. I mean, but I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about that.
I think somehow they're going to be tied to the extremis. I think, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear this, fast forward real quick, but from what we've heard so far is that Mandarin is supposedly going to don the extremis in some way, and I think that's going to somehow tie into his rings. I don't think his extremis will be all biotech. I think somehow it's going to have some magical elements to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to explain how the rings work.
I think there'll be some function to them. I'm not afraid of those things having some kind of energy beam or something coming out of them, and then at the same time if they control a certain other kind of armor or something like that. I mean, I'm not afraid of that too. But I mean, even if they don't, because I mean, I think the thing that a lot of fans are worried about is from the pictures they don't think it is. They think they're just simply for fashion. I mean, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, and I just want to go ahead and interject with, my thoughts on the Mandarin is, one, I agree with Durf. He's going to look badass, and I think,
What do you mean he's going to look badass? He does look badass.
He does look badass. Yeah, exactly. I stand corrected. He does look badass, and he is going to be a badass. I think it's going to be, the way they're, even though there's not been too much footage, they've shown that this guy really does. He really does fuck Iron Man's world up. Like, he blows the house down. He takes out 8 of, the recent armors. And, spoiler alert, from the trailers, it looks like some of Tony's loved ones are going to be hurt or possibly meet the Maker. So it's...
Happy Hogan.
Yeah. So, I mean, this villain right here, man, is going to be the King Daddy. And as it should be. Because in the comics... Mandarin is his arch rival. This is the Joker to Batman. This is, the Lex Luthor to Superman. This is the #1 bad guy. And, usually in comic book movies, they always do that, the main villain in the very first movie.
Yeah.
Well, this one, they're putting the threat like that as the biggest threat level, which I'm psyched for, dude.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for the Mandarin. I really am. I think this is something that it's been a long time coming, and this isn't a spoiler alert because if you're a fan of Iron Man and you've seen the first 2, we all know that we're sick of the armor wars, and we've heard confirmed from Kevin Feige that Mandarin will not be donning any armor. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to go toe-to-toe with Tony. As you said, John, this guy looks like he's going to be the uber terrorist, and I'm excited to see that. And I've got a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure they'll come out later, but the one thing I want to address is in the poster, the Mandarin looks like he's kind of a punk rocker, sort of Middle Eastern. I don't know, it's kind of vague where he's from as of now, but he looks like he's wearing Tony Stark's glasses from the first one, and it would make maybe a little bit of sense because in the first one, the 10 rings were first introduced, and we all know that the 10 rings is supposed to be a nod to the Mandarin. And I think that him perhaps wearing Tony Stark's glasses is just a subtle way of getting at Tony the way in the comic books Norman Osborn donned the Iron Patriot armor just to piss off Tony because of the whole Civil War between him and Cap.
I agree, and that's what's weird is like even you bring up the glasses, and a lot of people like myself when I first thought about it, I was like, man, they're just glasses. They're really not going to have a factor. But then when I saw that they're actually releasing the Mandarin's, or I guess the Mandarin or Tony's, sunglasses as 3D glasses to go with, the release of the movie. Like what they're doing is they're doing themed 3D glasses, and like one is Iron Man, one is Iron Patriot, and another one is Mandarin. It's kind of similar to what they did with the Avengers last year.
Yeah, those are sweet. I wish I could have got my hand on a pair of those.
Same here. But but that let me know right now, or right there, that maybe those sunglasses are probably going to have a little bit more of an impact than just being something to block out the sun. So, I mean, that'd be really cool. I mean, I could really foresee like a scene where where I guess those sunglasses are like in the desert or whatever, and Mandarin picks them up and uses them. So
that red tint to the lenses, I'm colorblind, but they look like they're tinted red, and it reminds me a lot of what Tony was wearing in the casino in the first Iron Man film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They look a lot like those same glasses. Yeah.
What's cool, definitely, and that's just touching on what you said, Uni, is what's really badass is definitely the mysteriousness of what's going on. Because you were saying he's like an uber terrorist meets punk, but then he's sporting that Asian kind of coat, and then there's the Chinese dragons all over in the backdrop. So it's like you really don't know what you're gonna get. But I mean, I think for this movie version of Mandarin is you're gonna get an amalgam of classic Mandarin, and then of course from what happened in the first movie is, I mean, everyone knows the origin of Iron Man. When he was made in the '60s is the, I guess I don't want to go racial or anything, but in an Asian background, Vietnam or whatever, they were the ones that kidnapped Tony Stark, and Ensign was Asian.
Right.
Well, in modern times, which is where the hell we are right now, there's dealings with the
the Middle
different
East.
kind of the Middle East. So I mean, it's only right that they change. I mean, and like I said, it's only right that they change the Mandarin's ethnicity just a little bit and conform it to a modern time. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Durf. You look like you want to say something.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, if you really look at what he looks like, and originally, that wouldn't fly on screen, dude. I mean, he looks like fucking Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, who the hell looks like Fu Manchu and is like taken seriously now?
Yeah. From what I get of the appearance of what we've seen of the Mandarin so far, is that he's supposed to be some kind of embodiment of an amalgamation of all of America's worst fears on terrorism, and I think that makes sense because the Mandarin has always been anti-America. He's always been anti-American dream. Everything America stands for, he's been against it. I mean, he's, in the comic books, he's basically an immortal. This guy's been around for thousands of years, and for him, there's a pecking order. There's a hierarchy, and he doesn't agree with democracy basically because he feels entitled to rule the world.
Exactly. He thinks that I mean, he's kind of in the same boat. He's a little bit of Red Skull, which I mean I don't see that as a problem because Red Skull's a badass as well.
Yeah. So
I mean I don't have a problem with that. I mean there's a guy who thinks he can take over the world, and I mean just like Schmidt or Red Skull tried to do so trying to harness the power of the Tesseract. I see Mandarin wanting to do that with Iron Man's armor. He's like, dude, I mean, picture it like this. He's like, man, Tony Stark knows the secret. He knows he has the technology. He has that. That could be the ultimate weapon. I want it because I want to rule the world.
Yeah, and I think that's right there is a perfect segue into, in the first Iron Man, we hear from, I don't remember his name, the guy that Jeff Bridges ends up fucking over after he makes a deal with him. But he says that he goes on about the bow and arrow being the pinnacle of weapons technology and Genghis Khan and all that. And so I can see Mandarin basically wanting to harness in some way, shape, or form Iron Man's abilities via his armor. And
whether it's exactly.
And your comparison to Schmidt is perfect perfect and right on, because I think there's another aspect of that poster we need to address, and that's there's got to be some kind of tie to the Captain America for the Mandarin, because we've seen in a behind-the-scenes photo that he has what looks to be a Captain America shield tattooed on the back of his neck with a big A on it, kind of like an anarchy. And then in that poster right next to his hand, it looks like there's the helmet that Cap wore when he went to save Bucky, the blue helmet with the bullet hole in it. So I think there might be some kind of tie back to World War II or into Captain America, some kind of super soldier serum. I mean, I don't know, but I'm expecting that's going to be explained.
I think the blue helmet is actually just one of those United Nations Army helmets. They're not necessarily Cap's helmet, but one of the United Nations helmets, maybe.
Still something that could be. I mean, that's agreeable too. I mean, that's not something that I'd knock. I mean, that's what I could see a guy who's against freedom and liberty and stuff like that having something like that as like a little a little thing to admire. It's like kind of like an I hate the United Nations, or I hate freedom or whatever. So I could see that. I could definitely see that. But
yeah, I mean, Captain America basically stands for the American dream. I mean, he is a symbol for that. So for Mandarin to target that ideal, it doesn't seem very far-fetched, and Captain America somehow being involved doesn't seem that far off to me. But again, this is all speculation, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I do want to address, and I do want to bring up the next topic, I mean, other than appearance, is I definitely want to just kind of put a lot of fans at ease and just kind of relax in a sense in the whole debate or whatever you want to call it, or argument that the Mandarin isn't technically the Mandarin because he lacks superpowers. He's not a superpowered human being. Right there, like, my only dilemma with that is, and my only problem is basically, I'm not cool with, just because the Avengers had been released.
Yeah.
That does not mean that every threat now from then on in Phase 2 has to be a form of a higher power than Loki. Like, the thing is that's why the Avengers are the Avengers, is because they together could not take such a force on, so they have to band together. But when you have a threat that's possibly bigger than Loki or the Chitauri, I mean, what's to stop Iron Man from calling his buddies up again and then making just another Avengers? That, like, fans need to understand, it's an Iron Man movie. Iron Man's world is a tech-based world. It's not, like...
He's a futurist,
I was just saying, I know people, like, they'll throw their inserts in their jabs saying, yeah, but you can't, introduce Norse mythology and magic and everything, and then just make it all go away. It's like, dude, it's not going to go away. It's just Thor's up in Asgard, Captain America's working with S.H.I.E.L.D., and Iron Man's doing his thing, and he's going to run into a personal villain. Like, I mean, who's to say that Iron Man's just not going to, tell S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever, it's like, hey, look, back off, I'm going to take this one on my own. They're like, this guy messed with the wrong person. He messed with me personally, so I'm going to personally see that he gets his.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll settle this right now. If there's any listeners right now, if you don't understand the concept of the Avengers, just turn this fucking thing off. Don't even listen to the rest, because, in the comic books, you have Iron Man in his own titles, you have the Avengers in their own titles, so it makes sense that the movies are going to follow the same formula.
Yeah.
And I think we might have lost John, so it'll be me and you, Durf, for a few seconds.
Oh, I think Muggy's calling him right now, because I'm on chat with her right now. She said she's calling John on Skype.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll just be me and you for a few minutes then, no problem. But yeah, so if you don't understand the concept of the Avengers, which is the very beginning of the very first issue, is, they all banded together to basically take on a villain that no single hero could take on. So that's not what the Mandarin is. That's not going to be any fun to watch, to see heroes ganging up on a single villain. We want to see them come out on their own. That's what the single solo films are for.
Well, the other thing to add to that, too, is he's not just going to be by himself either, because he's going to have Rhodey, War Machine.
Yeah, exactly. You got Rhodey there.
I mean, he's not just by himself. But another thing I'd like to add, too, is the misconception misconception people have that the rings are magic for the Mandarin.
Yeah.
Not true. They're actually technology. They're alien technology. I don't understand the whole it's magic thing.
It's magic in this. Basically, it's magic in the sense that Tony Stark doesn't understand it, and that's the only way he can define it.
Yeah.
Because technology to him is only as far as what he knows. He doesn't understand alien technology because he's not from another world.
Right. I get that. I mean, I'm just saying, not necessarily from Tony's standpoint, but from like fan standpoint, people say it's magic, and it's not.
Right. Oh yeah, I agree. Keep going. Go ahead. You're on a roll.
People try to say, "Oh, it's magic. Won't work. It doesn't fit Iron Man." Well, no, it's technology. I think if you're going to talk about something like that, you should know that.
Yeah, and you know what? That's even been elaborated in Thor. He said that magic is basically science that we don't understand. In Asgard, they're one and the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's think of the rings as foreign technology, an alien technology. Let's move away from the magic, because even in Thor it was established that it's not technically magic. It's just science we don't understand. So let's hope the rings are something in the same sense.
Yeah, and the magic being technology you don't understand, or science you don't understand rather, it fits, because, what is magic? That's basically what it is, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yo, fools, sorry to dip out for a second, I am back.
Cool, man. We're talking about the Mandarin's rings and how we're tired of people calling them magic rings because they've always been alien technology in the comic books.
Yes, and there's the key word, technology. It's not wrong taking something that's, alien technology and, kind of melding it down to human technology.
Yeah, we said it was addressed in Thor, that Thor said that magic and science in his world are one and the same, so we need to think of them the same way as Mandarin's rings.
Fucking A, man. That's what it is. And that's the thing, man. It's just people don't understand, if he was a big-ass alien or if he was some freaking, force of nature like that, of course Iron Man couldn't be, ready to do it. But this is what we're all leading down to. And like I said, I'm not trying to throw out any spoilers, but the poster that just came out recently, yesterday, is proof of that. But dude, he's gonna hit Mandarin with everything he's got. He's got something up his sleeve, and of course, that's the multiple armors that you see in the poster. So, if Mandarin wants a war, a terrorist, type of war, but yet not get into it with the government, he's gonna get into it with Iron Man. He's gonna get into it with, the quote-unquote master of the technology, which is Iron Man.
And
so
again, John, you've led me into a perfect segue. I want to know. I want to know your guys' thoughts. What do you think Mandarin's beef is going to be with Iron Man, with Tony Stark? He's basically pulling out a full-fledged war on Tony Stark, and I want to know why. He's going to have some motivation, and I want to know what it is. And I'm wondering if it's tied to the first Iron Man movie, but if it is, I'm afraid it's going to end up being a weak motivation for him to go after Tony. I think there's got to be something else.
Durfaloo, you go first, man.
Well, one possibility, if you want to connect it back to the first Iron Man, is the Ten Rings wanted Tony to build them weapons.
Right.
And instead, Tony escaped and turned them down and blew up all their weapons.
Yeah.
And destroyed their base. That could be something that could have pissed Mandarin off if he's the leader of the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
That could be motivation. Or, maybe Tony did something to him somewhere down the line that he hated or something. It's kind of hard to say without more information what his motives are, but I think we'll probably see in the next trailer maybe what some of his motivations are.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in his line in the first trailer. They said heroes don't exist, and I'm just kind of wondering what prompts him to say that, because obviously it's been established that that they do exist, but I'm wondering if he's thinking of that term thinking of that technically in a different way, and how does that pertain to Iron Man?
I think that what's going to be, and this is what's going to shock people, is people think that it's going to be, that's the fear, is like, well, I think one of the main fears, let me backtrack, one of the main fears about this movie is how are they going to follow up from the success of the Avengers? How is one superhero movie going to outdo that group of six that was, an epic adventure. I think the thing is that they're gonna do it, as a continuation. It is phase 2. I mean, obviously, the Mandarin does exist by the time of this New York, the Chitauri attack, and he sees these heroes band together. What would piss him off more than, governments that are lined up like that, I'm not trying to say they don't do a good job, but, governments and things with organization and, like non-vigilantism or whatever you want to call it, those take a long time. The law, I mean, that's what these superheroes are. They act outside of the law. So one thing that could piss him off more than just, an organized group of, lawgivers or anything like that is people who aren't superheroes, colorful characters who are, doing this and they don't need, registration, they don't need anything. That's probably something that would piss him off even more. And then I think there's the sense of, with a part 3, with the trilogy, everything always going back to the beginning.
Right.
Stain, the Ironmonger, really was in it for money. Yeah. I want to say his motivation was driven by money. He didn't have a personal beef with Tony. He was just like, look, man, it's just business, and I want to rule the world via money. I could make more money. I mean, that can be said. So he's just, more of a power hungry guy.
I don't know if I agree with that, man. I think part of Stain's motivation was that he felt that him and Howard Stark built that company, and he felt more entitled to run that company than Tony. Even though it's the Stark name, I think he felt that he should be running the company instead of Tony.
Okay. Well, that I can actually agree with. I'll actually go ahead and say, like, it was more of a maybe, I guess, if you want to throw like a jealousy thing in there.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I think, with the Mandarin's problem, or his beef with Stark, is probably just gonna be on the sense that he's like, dude, you and your brain and your mind, you have the greatest inventions and the greatest technology for war, yet you don't use it for war. I want it to rule the world. And I think that's going to be a bigger threat. He's definitely going to raise the stakes, and by raising the stakes, as we just said, he's going to make shit personal.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
I mean, he's gonna make shit personal. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what's cool about evolving, and it kind of makes me, as much as I kind of just didn't like Iron Man 2 that much, it kind of puts Iron Man 2 as a good part 2, because with Whiplash, or whatever you want to call him, trying to come back and just have it out for Tony, yet not doing a good job because he didn't do it the right way. The Mandarin's going to do it the right way, dude. Like, he's not Whiplash. He's not just going to come after Tony, in broad daylight. He's going to, meticulously plan this attack. Yeah. And it's not just going to be like, Mandarin probably any day of the week, he could probably invade the U.S. or do something like that. No, he wants to go after Stark because he knows that Stark has the key to, the key to the future, dude. I mean, like, shit, in the past 2 movies, Stark is, created the Iron Man suit, so, he's admitted that he's a nuclear deterrent. Yeah. And that he's also, created a new element. And that's in 2 movies. That's in 2 of his own movies. So, like, you can imagine what's probably next for him, or, what's to come. And I think that's what Mandarin wants, man. I think that's what he's looking for. He wants the ultimate weapon. And, I think a shit ton of Iron Man soldiers or whatever would be that.
Maybe. What do you think, Durf?
I think when Mandarin makes it personal, I think that's where he's going to fuck up. Because he's going to piss Tony off.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to piss off that super brain.
Tony's going to be like, oh boy, you done fucked up.
Yeah.
I think that... Are you done, Durf? You can keep going.
Go ahead, if you got something, go ahead.
Oh. I think this is all about power for the Mandarin. I think he... obviously in the trailer, Tony addresses the New York incident and the Chitauri invading and everything. And I think that Mandarin kind of saw this and saw Tony as basically the biggest threat on the team. Maybe not physically, but an overall threat. I mean, Captain...
You mean from the Avengers?
What did I say?
No. I'm talking like you think that Mandarin sees Iron Man as the biggest threat from the Avengers.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, Hulk, he's physically the most intimidating and powerful, but he has nothing to offer the Mandarin. Captain America, he's subpar compared to Hulk. He's stronger than Tony. Thor went back to his home world. Iron Man is brains and brawn all in one. I mean, the suit's what gives him the brawn, but he sees if he takes out Tony, he takes out part of America's hope. You know?
I think so too. I was following where you're going, and I think like that's actually very well done, because it's not that he's picking out the easiest man or something like that.
No, not at all.
I think I think just by a physical approach, you know, it's like, okay, I've got the super soldier who can, like, you know, fuck up 50 of my soldiers, you know, single-handedly, because this guy is a super soldier, yet without any armor or anything like that, he was fucking up aliens.
Yeah.
I've got, you know, the Hulk, who, when angry, turns into a huge beast, an unstoppable force. I won't be able to take that on. Thor is a god. There's no way in hell I could take that on. This man is, even if, you know, he has brains and brawn, like I said, I'm not trying to, you know, not give him any credit. He's just a man.
Yeah, but he's also the one who's probably most forward in the public eye, and I think he wants a public altercation with the Iron Man, because he wants to make his presence known. I think his presence. I mean, if we're going back to the comic books, if we're harkening back to that, Mandarin has been around for a while. So in the ancient times, people knew the Mandarin and they feared the Mandarin. Now he's fallen back. People don't know who he is. He wants people to fear him straight out. That's his power, is fear, and he wants to rule by fear. And by taking out America's golden boy, you know, publicly, I think he's trying to say, hey, look at me, don't fuck with me, all right?
Yeah.
Look what I did. Look what I did to your favorite hero.
Yeah. Look what I did to your most popular one, basically. Yeah, like it's great, man. I think that's actually probably the best approach one could have, and it definitely sets up the story and sets up, you know, what I feel is going to go on the movie is going to be just, you know, completely badass, man.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think if he takes Iron Man out, he has a lot to gain from Iron Man's assets if he can acquire them.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, the other good thing, of course, is, you know, he's going to have he's going to have the armor, man. And I mean, who wouldn't want, you know, the armor? You know, who wouldn't want the tech?
A crazy son of a bitch, that's who. You have to be nuts to not want that.
The other thing I'll add to that, too, is it kind of goes back to the line in the first trailer. He says, heroes, there's no such thing. What better way to prove that than taking out the most visible, most forward hero there is?
Dude, exactly.
Yeah.
Shit, yes, dude. Yeah, like, he just hit the nail on the head with that, dude.
Right.
Like, that's exact. Like, you know, take out the most uber, you know, talkative, you know, hero that you have. I mean, you know.
But also, what does Tony Stark represent? He represents capitalism at its best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what is capitalism? It is just seizing opportunity. That doesn't fly with the Mandarin. The Mandarin thinks, like I said, there's a pecking order, and things must go down the pyramid, and he's at the top of the pyramid. He doesn't think people should rise to the success that Tony Stark has without some sort of blood tie or entitlement. And I think that's what he feels that he has. So yeah. Tony Stark is also the antithesis of the Mandarin.
Exactly. And I think, you know, I want to just say that, you know, whereas Whiplash, you know, where Whiplash failed, but I mean, Whiplash kind of succeeded in the sense that he kind of gave Iron Man the warning. It's like, hey, dude, there's other people out in this world that are just like you, but they stand for something completely different. You know, like the whole making someone believe a god could bleed or whatever the shit that was.
Exactly. I was about to pick out that line, and I think that's going to transcend from Iron Man 2 to Iron Man 3.
Exactly. It's like this is like, you know, it's like, hey man, you know, in part 2 you met someone who was just like you but it was evil. Now here's someone who is
nothing like you.
Yeah, nothing like you, and also represents evil but still has the knowledge and the ways to fuck your world up, dude.
Yeah. And
that's what he's gonna do. And that's the thing is, I think the problem was, you know, what they didn't really, you know, put forth any effort in, not put forth any effort in, but shit, what's the word? I mean, I want to say, like, what they didn't achieve is they didn't achieve that the only way you can, like, really hit Tony Stark and make him feel is you gotta fuck with the people that he loves most.
And they're few and far between. I mean, he does not have very many personal connections.
Exactly. I mean, there's people that don't like him. Obviously, you've seen that through, you know, the senators, you know, and everybody because he doesn't want to give the fucking suit up. You know, I mean, really, all he has is Happy and Pepper. You know, like, and even then, like, you know, I mean, just because he found out that his dad, you know, always did love him, probably doesn't, you know, at the end when he talks about him and he sees that video from S.H.I.E.L.D., it doesn't change the fact that his dad treated him like shit.
And he's got daddy issues for sure.
Yeah, like, he's a cold-blooded, you know, I mean, like, you know, as much as good of a person as he is, he's still got that cold, callous, like, feeling towards him.
Yeah, so, Tony Stark said it perfectly. He's cold and calculating.
Yeah, so, I mean, it only makes sense, you know, for the people that do care about him and that, you know, do want to see him succeed and that do care for him, if they're hurt, I mean, that's motivation right there to be like, dude, to do exactly what I feel Tony's going to do, spoiler alert, bring out the big guns and just, you know, it's like, hey, dude, you fucked with me in my home, I'm going and I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, that's like something I want to see from Iron Man 3 and Captain America 2. Something I think that we might see in all of Phase 2 is, I've said this to you before, John, what happens when you push these heroes too far? And I think Mandarin is taking it to that point. And we've never seen what happens when you push Tony Stark too far. He always keeps a pretty calm, cool, collected head. What happens when he loses that, you know? What does he do when he finally decides, I'm going to go all out on some son of a bitch? And Mandarin's going to be that poor soul.
Yeah, because you see a preview of it already, and I mean, not a preview, but I mean, basically a snippet of it from the end of Iron Man 2. You know, when he realizes that Pepper's in danger, the dude is just like, he switches, you know, like, just completely, and he's like, shit, I gotta go grab that girl, dude, she's gonna die, and that's my world, and, you know, whatever. I mean, that was one of the most, you know, poignant scenes in the movie, you know, as kind of okay as it was, you know, I mean, I just thought that was badass, how, like, once he, you know, once he basically thought of Pepper, he's like, oh, shit. Yeah. And he, you know, because he knows, like, that's his weak point. And I think at the same time, that's also gotta be very, I don't know what the hell the word is, man. I was going to say, like, he's got to put that on himself because at the end of the day, everybody knows, going back to the original, at the very end of the movie, he admits to being Iron Man. Had he not, he wouldn't have these problems of trying to protect, you know, the ones he cares about. Because, I mean, that's like, you know, the code of the superhero, you know, is the superhero doesn't reveal his identity because he doesn't want the people that he cares for to be hurt.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that with Iron Man, I mean, now he's been Iron Man for a considerable amount of time, right? And I think he almost defines himself by Iron Man. And I think the Mandarin is going to strip that identity away. And we're going to have a little bit of an identity crisis with Tony. We're going to see who is he without the Iron Man suit. And I think that's going to be a good personal, internal battle for Tony.
I agree, man. I agree.
Durf, feel free to interject anytime, man.
Yeah, sure. Going back to what John was saying about Mandarin targeting the ones he loves, it's again, I've been saying this a lot. It goes back to the first trailer. He's talking about how he's not sure he can protect the ones he loves. And,
yeah.
You know, how that messes with the dead. I mean, he's not sure if he can keep Pepper out of danger. Or
that is so
not
true.
have Happy, spoiler, die. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
no, that's exactly right. Go ahead, sorry, man.
And that's kind of what I think. That's kind of what you're getting at. I mean, so I think they're really going to see Tony go through that kind of crisis of, well, shit, everybody I love is in danger. What do I do?
Better break out the big gun.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that poster released either yesterday or the day before, Tony looks about pushed to his limit and like he's gonna whoop some ass. And
yeah.
And I am so excited to see Mandarin push him that far, dude. And I think that the Mandarin is going to be just as much a physical threat. I mean, maybe not toe-to-toe, you know, hand-to-hand combat, but he's going to be just as much a physical threat as a psychological threat to Tony. And I don't think Tony's going to know what to do. Because I don't think, honestly, we just have not seen yet Tony being bested by anyone. He's always got the upper hand, you know. He has his contingency plans. I mean, that's just who he is. He's kind of like Batman in a way, where he's thought out every situation. But Mandarin's gonna blindside him, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is definitely people are looking forward to, and like I don't want to, like I said, this is spoiler free, so I'm gonna cut it with the spoiler and just like give it away. But I mean, the scene, where everyone can see from the trailer where he's, walking in the snow or something like that, it's going to be like I want to say like a rebirth kind of, because
yeah,
he's going to break Iron Man or Tony, whatever you want to call him, down so low, dude, that he's going to be like, he's just going to hit rock bottom. He's like, dude, I'm out here in the snow. Everybody that I know is either hurt or they're, possibly dead, whatever. I'm gonna have to build my and I don't have anything. I don't have my money. My money doesn't count here. It doesn't mean shit. My armor is beat up. What the hell am I gonna do? It's gonna be like everyone's been saying in this trailer and in this podcast is becoming a theme. Going back to the original, coming full circle, and being like, dude, I was in a worse situation when I was over in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I need to fucking dig down deep, and I need to get this, get my shit together, and I need to come back full force and come back stronger.
And
so it's gonna do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly the scene I was thinking of in my head when I talked about Tony being stripped of his identity of Iron Man. I think that's kind of a symbolic gesture that he has to get out of that suit and basically drag it behind him. I mean, I this may be all my bullshit classes kicking in college, but it feels very symbolic about him, that identity almost dragging him down, and he's got to find himself outside of it. And it also reminded me so much of the comic books when in Stark Disassembled, when Norman Osborn is targeting him, and he's basically got to upload all of his information in his head into different bases around the world. And so I want to see that played out as well.
Agreed, agreed, man. Like seriously, I think this is gonna be seriously the definitive Iron Man movie. Like it's just gonna be everything you're really wanting in an Iron Man movie. When you should, and this one's gonna be for more people who have known about him, because there's a lot of general audience who they don't know that there's a shit ton of armors. They think that he's a generic superhero. So a lot of people, especially I don't want to call them noobs or whatever, but the general audience is gonna be surprised when they see this. It's sort of like just a new version of Iron Man. Like he's gonna be like reborn in this movie, and it's gonna come full circle. You're not gonna get the, and I guess for what it was in Avengers, you're not gonna get the class clown of the group. Because,
no, I totally agree. I think that's gonna be very dialed down in this one.
Yeah, this one, and like I said, usually in Iron Man trailers, they've got some sort of funny, little quote or something, because that's what we've come to know is Tony Stark is,
it's a marketing tool, I think, in the trailers.
What's that?
I think showing that part of his persona in the trailer is just kind of a marketing tool. It's like, the general audience is familiar with that Tony Stark, and that's what's going to bring them back in and put their ass in the seats.
Yeah, but what's cool, dude, is like in that trailer that Dirk talks about, the first one, I mean, this Iron Man, dude, this guy, and that's the cool thing about the journey about this, where the character's going to go, and I know we've gone from Mandarin to basically Iron Man on the subject, is like, this guy's a broken man. He's freaked. Like, he when he talks about how he can't sleep because of New York, the incident in New York, how he, when he does sleep, he's got nightmares. I mean, this guy's he's in a pretty low spot, which goes back to, the Mandarin hitting him, not just where it hurts, meaning the ones he cares about, but at his lowest point right now. Because the guy is going through a lot of, I guess you want to call it whatever, fucking post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, the guy was the only human being fighting a shit ton of aliens. I mean, not only that, but, the dude went up into fucking space. I mean, he was up in space, literally.
With a nuke on his back.
Exactly, with a nuke on
That's
his back.
That's some scary shit to be that close to a nuclear bomb.
I mean, yeah. So, you can tell that that's going to be one of the focal points, especially like you're saying, going back to the trailer. This was not the funny, charismatic, one-liner Iron Man. I mean, this guy, he says, I'm not sure that I can protect the things that I care about. And he's pointing to Pepper. And then there's the whole, I can't sleep because of New York. Nothing's been the same. I mean, this dude he's not going to be the same Tony Stark that everyone's wondering, but that's what's going to be, I guess, the entertaining thing is finding this guy at this point in his life, and you're going to see the evolution to where he finally does step up, and he's like, you know what, man, I got to do this, and he's going to go save the day, and he's going to, do what he does.
Yeah, at a point, I think, and we've seen Iron Man in 3 films now, and at a point, it just becomes Iron Man is a little bit one-dimensional, and I think this movie's going to break that mold, and we're gonna see some depth to this character. We're gonna see some ugliness to this. We're gonna see an ugly side of him, and and that's honestly that is Tony Stark. I mean, I think when Stan Lee first created him, what was his weakness? He gives all his heroes a weakness. Iron Man's is he basically has no heart. And that was addressed in the first one. He needs basically a battery-operated heart, and all the connotations that come with the heart, and what it does for humans. Not just physically but emotionally. He's always been emotionally crippled, and we've seen that. We've just seen it covered up with humor, and I think he's gonna be fully exposed. Chest open and everything.
Yeah, that's badass. I can't wait for that. That was well put, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to do too is, on top of all this stuff with New York and not worrying about if you protect his loved ones, like you said, he's got about 1 million people trying to kill him now too. You've got the Mandarin, you've got Killian, you've got God knows who else trying to take him out.
Well, we know that Radioactive Man and Cold Blood, their characters, I don't know about their aliases, but their characters have been confirmed, so they're definitely going to be playing a part.
Yeah, and they seem like henchmen, and I mean, like I said, I'm not worried about the whole spoiler talk, but I mean, from what I've read, that Killian is going to be in cahoots or whatever you want to call it
with the Mandarin.
With Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that's already one thing. It's like, man, that just kind of screams to Tony's like, dude, Mandarin's got people everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It isn't just attacking you and me. I mean, he's got people everywhere.
Durf. Give us some more of your thoughts, man. I'm interested to hear. Let's pick your brain.
The other thing I'm thinking too is from the set pictures and whatnot we've seen, Tony goes to China at some point.
Yep.
So maybe he goes to help save. Maybe in this movie, I can't remember what the doctor's name is. He's supposed to be friends with. Help me out. Do you guys remember his name?
Shit.
Who, Radioactive Man?
Maybe that guy. Maybe that
the Asian doctor
goes there to help him. But he can't help him, and he causes him to become Radioactive Man in some way. Maybe that's part of Tony's guilt too.
Yeah.
And it fucks up and screws him over.
Definitely.
That's just a thought. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I mean that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think some more villains are going to be evolving even after the end of this film. I don't think they're all ends are going to be tied up.
Oh yeah, man. See, that's another thing. Like, I don't want them to, and I think it's a different time and age now for comic book movies that, like, these films should end with a potential, spin-off, I mean, they should end as being, like, their standalone movies, like the standalone movie in a series, but at the same time, it should not, just end like, like other comic book movies have, 6 years ago or something like that, where it's like, oh, this is part 3, this is the last one, so we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink in here. It's like, nah, man, like, we're leaving it out in the open.
Yeah.
That there's going to be other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is ready to hang up the armor, man. I think he's definitely open to reprising this role as long as he can. We don't need to see an Iron Man 4 anytime soon, but this Marvel's established that this is a crossover universe, and so anything could happen, and that's one of the most exciting things about it. But hey, guys, we're approaching the 45-minute mark here, and it went fast.
Shit did.
So any listeners now, this is probably going to be a part 1. We'll bring John and Durf back for a part 2 to address all the other aspects of the Iron Man 3. And we'll probably wait because I think about 4 or 5 days from now we're supposed to get the new Iron Man 3 trailer. And so that's going to provide a lot more information and a lot more talking points. But I think we're going to wrap this one up here in the next few minutes. And take it from there, John or Durf. Is there anything that's, burning in your mouth that you just need to get out?
I can't wait for the next one, man. This was a really good one. It was good talking to Durf and bringing him on here about it. I don't know. I was hoping that I guess I need to shut up a little less, to be honest, dude. So I'm not. I've been so excited to talk about this one because we got all the posters and everything, and
right.
So definitely can't wait for the next one. I'll probably keep my mouth closed a little bit less and hear other things. So, but yeah, that's about it, man, for me.
Durf, if you got anything to say, man, go ahead. Feel free.
I'm excited for this new trailer in 5 days. Can't wait to see what's gonna happen and to talk about it.
Yeah, same here. Keep going, man. You've been so quiet.
One thing we didn't talk about in this one, I'd like to maybe talk about in the next one, is Stark wearing that AIM shirt.
Oh, definitely.
That might be something interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, the last thing I really want to say is, if you've listened thus far and you don't care about the spoilers, this is a potential spoiler. I don't think anything's really been completely confirmed yet, so it's not 100% accurate. But I think we've heard that Mandarin is somehow going to be given the Extremis formula, and I'm really excited to see if that happens, and if so, how that plays out, because that is going to put him on par with Superhuman. I mean, he might already be somewhat immortal in some way, like he is in the comic books, but giving him the Extremis is going to put him in a league of his own with the superpowers. And I want to know, I'm sure AIM is the one that administers this all, and I'm sure Maya Hansen, Aldrich Killing are working for AIM. It only makes sense to do that. But Mandarin with the Extremis is going to be one hell of a battle.
Yeah, I say that you two are with those topics that you just brought up. That should start off part 2 as badass, and I know that we're really going to be geeking out over that trailer, from the cool scenes and shit. I think that's one thing that we should definitely start off with, is exactly what Durf was talking about with him wearing the AIM shirt, the latest picture that came out. What the hell's up with that? And then what you were saying, Uni, what would happen should Mandarin get his hands on the extreme, or if he is or if he isn't. I can't tell from right now, but maybe in 5 days when we see that trailer, we could talk more about it.
Yeah. So when the trailer comes, we're going to have a lot more direction in our talk. I'm positive of it. But if we have any listeners here, definitely want you guys to stay tuned for part 2. I hope you're on the edge of your seats waiting to hear what else we have to say, because believe me, I know we have a lot more to say. We're just trying to, a little time constraint here. We want to keep these short, succinct, and to keep your interest the entire time. But I'm all out of stuff to say, so if you guys want to go ahead and say your last little remarks, we're all good.
Tune into the next one.
Yeah, glad to be on the podcast this time, and next time we'll try not to be so damn quiet.
Hey, next time you're talking your ass off. I guarantee it.
Yeah, man. Uni can put me on mute or whatever. I don't care. So,
you guys got anything left to say before I sign us out?
That's about it, brother.
All right, guys. Well, hell, if you listen to this podcast, your ass better be in the movie theater come early May. I don't know where you're all at, but for us, it's in early May, Iron Man 3, and we're all very excited. Be checking the internet or your TV for the next Iron Man trailer. This is UniBeam, and I'm out.
Later.
See you guys.